I'm Tracy Bingaman. I'm a full-time working mom of 5 who got sick, burned out, quit my job, and now I teach women how to mom smarter, not harder. The pressures of modern motherhood are intense. You're a busy working mom juggling all the balls and living in fear of dropping the exact wrong one. Here you'll find the tools you've been searching for to confidently prioritize your life and optimize your ability to rock all the hats that you choose to wear. I'll show you how to break through your limiting beliefs so you'll have more time and more money than you know what to do with. Because even in the busiest seasons of life, you can grow to master your money, own your time, and be the mom with all the margin. This is Fulfilled as a Mom. Comparison. It's the thief of joy. It's making you more concerned about what other people's lives look like instead of curating your own best life. In comparing yourself to others, it causes you to take your eye off the ball. You stop focusing on what matters most to you and instead start trying to get your life to look like someone else's life. I have struggled with comparison for as long as I can remember. I was in the 5th grade and all the other girls in my class, they had 3 things that I desperately wanted. This specific pair of blue Nikes that faded from dark to light. They had bright white laces and that signature pearly white Nike swoosh on the side. They also had straight hair and shaved legs. Yes, shoes which I didn't own, hair that I didn't and couldn't have, and they were shaving their legs. A task that a 10-year-old me thought she wanted to start doing sooner rather than later and then get to go on to do for the rest of her life. Bless my young, stupid heart. At that age, not only was I comparing myself to those other girls in my class, I didn't simply admire them. And I wasn't just saying that I was jealous of how they looked or the way that they dressed or what they did, that it still doesn't encompass the way that I felt. I wanted to be them. More to the point, I didn't want to be me. I thought that if I could look like, talk like, heck, even act like everyone else in my class, I would feel like I belonged. Talk about insecurity. I didn't even want to be myself. I wanted to actually be someone else. When I find myself comparing myself to other women, moms, influencers, coachers, podcasters, and even as a 30-something mom, I feel that monster inside of me rear its head that's been hanging out since I was 10. So today we're going to unpack comparing ourselves to others and how it's stealing our joy. We're going to dig into why we're comparing, how to decrease it, and what to do instead. So back to the task at hand, tackling comparison. I recently heard someone say that if you're navigating to someone's Instagram feed and following closely in their stories, you know that person, you're invested in them, you're intrigued in them, and you're spending more than a minute looking into their photos, profile, and content, that you're doing one of 2 things. You are judging them, or you are judging yourself by comparing what their life looks as compared to what yours looks like. I'm going to say that again. If you are in real life or on social media spending more than a minute thinking about someone else's life photos, content, or the way they present and show up in the world, you are either judging them or you're judging yourself by comparing your life to theirs. When I heard it, it hit me right in the solar plexus. I'm either judging myself and feeling envious of their life, or I'm judging them, neither of which are things that I really want to do. I am all about being inspired by others, and I do think that there is a role for surrounding yourself with voices and humans who think, look, and speak differently from you, and that we can learn from that. Especially if you're surrounding yourself with those who elevate our thinking and stretch us outside our comfort zone and inspire you to see the world and live differently. But inspiration and comparison are 2 completely different things. Comparison can be you looking down on your life or looking down on someone else's life. Sometimes we choose to compare ourselves to those who have different flaws and challenges than we do as a way to make ourselves feel better. This breed of comparisons leads to arrogance. Comparison can alternatively make you feel badly that your life doesn't look like theirs, And that can make you feel embarrassed by your body, your routine, your home, the way your kids behave. Truly, the list of opportunities for you to feel crappy is endless. This form of comparison leads to shame. Shame. The feeling that you yourself are wrong. That underpinning the negative voice in your head that whispers that you aren't good enough. Here's the reminder that you are exactly enough. You are strong enough, brave enough, badass, and motivated enough for whatever life holds for you. You might be thinking, but it's helpful to compare yourself to certain people because it adds fuel to your fire. Maybe you feel like it inspires you to see other people doing things. It encourages you to be brave or try new things or take a different approach. So here's the difference between inspiration and comparison. Comparison, as we've identified, it makes you feel either arrogant or shameful. Inspiration, on the other hand, makes you feel like anything is possible. Inspiration, it boosts your spirits and it fills your cup, and comparison drains you and leaves you feeling crappy. Comparison is one of those energy vampires. Inspiration drives you to take new steps and to create change in your life, where comparison drags you backwards and makes you feel like you could never do those things and that you simply aren't enough. Inspiration is listening to this episode and being motivated to change. Comparison is telling yourself that these tips, the ability to stop comparing and to take action on your life instead, that's for some other mom, and you simply don't have the time or energy to do it. Inspiration is a cheerleader and comparison is a heckler. Still not sure? When you're looking at someone else's life and accomplishments, do you feel like clapping for them or criticizing them? Inspiration makes you feel like jumping for joy, cheering that person on and clapping them on the back. Comparison makes you feel like criticizing them, like judging them, or feel jealous of them. Inspiration makes you feel joy, and comparison makes you feel pretty judgy. So I think a really, really important part of this is unpacking the reason that you find yourself comparing. It's a key in the process to getting yourself to compare yourself less. For me, it's insecurity. When I feel unsure about an aspect of my life, when I'm not rooted in my values, and if there is an area that I'm struggling with, when I see someone else struggling more, I'm going to prop myself up with their misfortune. And when I see someone winning in that area, I'm going to shame myself for not being able to do the same. When my oldest son was 6 weeks old, I went to this breastfeeding support group. It was called Monday Morning Moms. I walked into this room and I was feeling super alone in motherhood. I walked out as like a part of this group of 10 other moms. So we were navigating early mom life together. We started a text chain. We started having lunch at Carrabba's every other week. And we'd push these tables together in the back of Carrabba's to accommodate 10 of us and 11 babies because one had twins. And the babies were so young that we would have lunch for like 2 hours, which never could happen with toddlers, but they were all newborns. So we talked about all the hard things, the trials and the tribulations of new mom life. And time flies because those babies are all turning 7 this year. So we had this ongoing group message. We would text each other at 2 a.m. and say, is it normal for your kid to do this? Or is anyone else navigating why? And with 11 newborns, statistically, at least 1 to 2 other moms were awake at 2 a.m. for reassurance or solidarity, and they would share resources and advice. So it's maybe like the 3rd time we've gone out to lunch, and we get on the topic of returning to work. At this point, Colby is almost 2 months old, and I'm kind of sort of feeling like I've got the hang of this mom gig, at least enough that I'm not second guessing all of the decisions that I'm making on a daily basis. I'm learning to trust my gut and to embrace the unknown and to kind of ditch the schedule. I'm growing and developing alongside Colby, and I really, truly miss work. I love my job as a surgery PA, and I miss adult conversations and surgery and patients that are sick and needing to be resuscitated and rushed to the OR. I missed walking into the ER and giving the providers there a hard time. I miss my nurses and my office staff. I'm looking forward to returning to work. I'm actually considering going back to work a week or 2 early because I'm hungry to do the work of my heart and to do something that stretches me and fulfills me. So we go around the table, and of the 10 moms, 6 are going to be staying home for the foreseeable future. And the 3 other moms who are returning to work, they say that they would 100% stay home if logistically or financially that was feasible. Wait, what? Out of this sample of 10 moms, I'm the only one who is returning to work by choice? I came home and I tearfully tell Dan that I feel badly for wanting to return to work. So he thinks I don't want to go back to work. And then I clarify, it's not that I don't want to go back to work. It's that I feel guilty for wanting to go back to work. I'm not one of those moms who fell so deeply, madly in love with her baby that she wishes to leave her role outside the home to be with him 24 hours a day. In fact, the prospect of that, of being a stay-at-home mom, leaves me feeling anxious and like a part of me would be missing. What kind of mother am I? I don't even love my kid enough to be willing to sacrifice my career, my dreams, and my ambitions so that I'm home for his first steps. I'm going to entrust his care to someone else to selfishly pursue my career aspirations and to do something that fills me up and to return to a job that I love. Dan, he has this way of getting to the heart of the matter without any bullshit. So I'm spiraling in my head. I'm berating myself for not being a good mom or a good enough mom. And he says, do you love your job? I say, of course I love my job. And he says, do you love Colby? And I say, of course. And then he says, why would you consider giving either of those things up? In this instance, I could have gotten caught up in this should storm. I had internalized the plans of these other moms and decided that I should stay home, even if what I wanted was returning to work. And I should be, if I had to return to work, I should be doing it under duress. Guess what? Confidence in your choices comes from living in alignment with your deeply held values. Confidence comes from owning your thoughts, directing your feelings, and choosing your actions. Confidence is like an umbrella in a should storm. It helps you to stay dry from your own and others' expectations, and it lets you get where you're going without soaking them in. Confidence is a skill, and it's something to be honed and developed over time. Motherhood shook mine, and if that's true for you, don't worry. Be conscious of it and work on flexing that confidence muscle. So here's the crux of the problem for the way you're designing and living your life if you're living by comparison. You aren't actively planning how you want your life to feel. So there's this difference between how a life looks and how it feels. It can look from the outside in like everything is great. You're married with a safe and comfortable and maybe even a nicely decorated home. You have 2.5 kids and a dog that's obviously part doodle, and you have shiny cars and 2 jobs, and it's everything you've ever dreamt about. But it doesn't feel right. Something is missing. Even though your life is so overscheduled, it still feels empty and unfulfilling. The reason that you feel like that is that you aren't living into your values. You haven't taken the time to put in the work to figure out what matters most to you. It behooves us to take a moment to emphasize that those core values, your deeply held values, it's not what your sister, your mom, your best friend, the people in your office or at your church or even in your book club value. These aren't the things that society tells us matter. It's what actually matters most to you. Busy working mom. I used to wear it like a badge of honor. Then I realized that I was drowning in to-dos and running around like a lunatic, all because this key piece was missing. I wasn't clear on what my deeply held values were. And when everything's important, nothing is important. Now that I've done the work and figured out what I value most, it makes life so much easier. Those core values serve as the compass for the direction of my life, and they inform my heck yes and my hell no responses to each and every opportunity. I've taken the process to curate core values and boiled it down into 3 simple steps. I've laid out the exact process to gain clarity so you can start applying your deeply held values to day-to-day life. To start living a purpose-driven life full of what you love and void of all that other shit, download your core value curator today. The link's waiting for you in the show notes. Living in alignment with your values. Sounds simple, but it requires self-reflection and constant calibration. You'll find yourself asking, does this align? And immediately saying hell no to opportunities that come across your path that don't align with your values. So you've spent a lot of time comparing yourself and you're wondering what to do when you find yourself comparing. So when you are looking at someone else's life and you're thinking, oh, that must be so nice, I have this quick 2-question gut check that you can do in less than 10 seconds to help you bring yourself back to you, centered in your life and your values. So you're scrolling Instagram, you find someone who has like a perfect house, their kids are dressed just so, and you're dreaming of this life. And you're saying, I wish, or I wonder, or I want that in my life or my home or my marriage. You want to ask yourself, do I really want my life to look like and feel like that? And the second question is, what would I have to do to make that true in my life? So here's an example of how comparison sparked some positive change in my life by using this comparison gut check. I have this dear friend who, although I've actually never met her in person, she's one of my biggest supporters and cheerleaders on social media. She has one single daughter. If you know anything about me, you know that I have a whole lot, not one, not two, but 5 entire humans. I found myself jealous of this one-on-one time she gets to spend with her only daughter. So I asked myself, do I really want my life to look and feel like that? Well, obviously no, not all the time, because that would necessitate me selling 4 children on Etsy or to the circus. So I asked myself, what would I have to do to make that true about my life? So obviously I'm not going to reduce our number of children from 5 to 1, but I can prioritize and schedule one-on-one time with each of my kids. That means that I have pockets of time when I can focus on them. We can connect and make memories together without the distraction that is 4 other siblings vying for my attention. So the next time that you find yourself comparing, ask yourself, is that life you're seeing from the outside in? Is that what you actually want your life to look and feel like? And then what would have to be true to make it happen? If that doesn't dissuade you, then make that specific feeling and goal and take steps to create it in your life. If those questions make you realize that you don't really want that life, then make like Queen Elsa and let it go. It's time to focus on you, to be intentional with your own thoughts, feelings, vibrational frequency, and actions. Create a life of design. Work with a coach, do the internal work, go to therapy, grow in your own confidence. Focusing on the things that you can change. Focusing on the way that you show up in the world, what you value, what you choose to do and not do on a daily basis puts the power back into your own hands. Take time to identify your triggers and to do the triggering things less. Dig into why you find yourself comparing. Have a set of questions or that reality check that you can walk through when you feel that undercurrent of comparison. Foster gratitude in your everyday life. This helps us to focus on the blessings that abound in our own life. Love yourself. I'm working on this too, and it's a journey that we're all on to embrace the beauty that is you, because you are unique and that is incredible. Embracing the imperfections and the quirks and the characteristics that make me, that's amazing. And I'm glad you're here on this journey to a life filled with less comparison and more confidence. I'm doing a victory dance right now because you did it. You took the time to tune in, to reach for a better life, and to take care of you. Did our time together go by way too fast for anyone else? Head to fulfilledasmom.com for show notes and all the discount codes from today's show. You now have the tools and knowledge to change your life. Go blaze your trail, take that step, make the shift, and do the work to create fulfillment in your life today.